Okay, it's 104 here at WXCI. I've got Alice Brock on the line here, so we're going to go ahead and chat with her. And first of all, I want to say thanks, Alice, for being a part of the show today. It makes it extraordinarily special.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Oh, I'm thrilled. I'm absolutely thrilled. And I want to, start out. I don't know how much time you have, but, we'll just, it's very casual and easygoing here. So we'll just go with the flow and see where it takes us. So we'll start with the movie a little bit, Alice's Restaurant. I did some research. I did my homework. I hope I did pretty good homework. And, I realized that movie was very fictionalized, and a lot of people may not realize that most of that stuff didn't really happen, did it? It was loosely based on true events. Is that correct?
Yes, very loosely. I mean, some of the things happened, but not that way. Or they happened in that place, but, not the way that they're portrayed.
Sure. Do you want to give people an example?
Well, for instance, I really never slept with Arlo Guthrie. This is one example. And we didn't know anybody who shot heroin.
The 60s and, were a pretty freestyle period of history, though. And, I mean, would you consider yourself a little bit of a party girl back then?
Party girl.
I mean, I'm not talking about, the sexuality, the freedom of sexuality back then. I mean, like, a good time. People blew off work and wanted to just travel around and follow shows and do their own thing. And women's lib was very big then, too, where it was acceptable for women if they chose to kind of, fool around and not be condemned for it.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that, that's all.
Well, of course, I did fool around plenty. But I don't know that I was a party animal.
Okay. I kind of got that impression from reading about you a little more, that you really didn't like to be in the spotlight. You kind of preferred to be sort of backstage, so to speak. You like to sort of be a part of it, but not get so much attention. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's true. I like to make things happen, but not based on me. I like to get together with a bunch of people and make something happen. I guess I like teamwork. Although sometimes I've been told I'm not a good team player.
Well.
I'm very opinionated.
Well, you're entitled. If that's who you are, that's who you are. And
but I was much more involved in politics in the '60s than I was in. I was never a band follower. In fact, it's really, I love to dance and I love to listen to music, but I really could hardly differentiate between one act and another. I just wasn't a fan like that.
Right. I understand what you're saying. How, in terms of the movie and that whole scene, how did you come to know Arlo? Did you guys grow up in the same area?
No. I met him when I worked at a small private school in the Berkshires that he went to. It was a kind of a progressive school. It wasn't one of these snooty private schools. It was, I guess they considered themselves progressive. Of course, it was nowhere near as progressive as I was, but he was a student there, and I was married to Ray Brock. He played the guitar, and he had a beautiful, beautiful singing voice. And, of course, a lot of the kids played the guitar at that time, including Arlo, of course. So the kids gravitated towards us because we were young and we were beatniks. I think we were beatniks at that time. That's before there were hippies. I've been a lot of different names.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was a difficult child. I was a juvenile delinquent. Then I was a bohemian. Then I was a beatnik. Then I was a hippie. And now what am I?
You're an artist.
Yeah, right.
Yes. And what inspires you, by the way? I'm just going to throw things out there as they come, but...
I don't know. I started doing artwork, making things and drawing things and making up stories at a very young age. And it was just it was a lifesaver to me, really, and I think a lot of artists will tell you that it saved them, that it gave them a way to find their way in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a totally personal thing. I never told people, "Oh, I'm an artist." I always said I want to be an artist, and I never studied art either. I just was not particularly secretly, but I just did a lot of artwork that nobody ever saw. It was just for my own pleasure. And
it seems to me that you studied and observed life, and it came to you, and you expressed yourself through art. You know.
Well, I guess so. If you saw some of my some of my people, you would say, "Gee, she didn't study enough." But
no.
I'm not exactly representational, but I think I get the gist.
Sure.
Yeah.
And let me ask you, Alice, do you think they did a good job with that movie, or if you could have changed anything about that movie, what would it be?
Oh, God. That's really hard to say.
Mm-hmm.
Did they do a good job? I don't know, because even then I wasn't much of a moviegoer.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've always felt manipulated by movies.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the other reasons was at that point smoking wasn't allowed in the movie theaters anymore, and I was a big smoker at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm now on oxygen, so that tells you something about smoking.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
But it wasn't. I think we were all treated rather superficially, but I guess that's the way movies do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, because there certainly was a lot more to me than whatever. And Pat Quinn, well, we were not. She was not supposed to talk to me.
Mm-hmm.
She was. You know, she picked up a few of my visible habits, I guess, a way of walking or a way of pushing the hair out of my face or whatever. But she was nothing like me, and the character was really nothing like me.
Mm-hmm.
And certainly Ray was very poorly portrayed, although the actor was a wonderful actor.
Mm-hmm.
That was Matthew Broderick's father.
Oh,
and he
wow.
was a Shakespearean actor, and I think it's because he was a friend of Arthur Penn's that he got the job, but he was nothing like Ray, and he was, you know, it made him look kind of ineffectual, whereas Ray was really quite a charismatic character.
Right. In true life. And I guess I'm getting the feeling, they really did sensationalize it a lot. So, you know,
that's the movies for you.
Sure,
They've got to have sex and drugs and violence.
Did you have any idea that it would become as popular as it did? It is
no idea at all. It was just another lark.
Yeah, it was. It's considered a cult classic now. You know.
Yeah, I suppose. Although, you know, as a movie, I don't think it's very good. It's kind of hard to follow, and I don't know.
No,
but I'm not a good judge of it, I guess.
Well, no, you
I'm
know,
not objective.
Sure. Well, you have your say. I mean, you obviously they wanted to use your likeness in some way and needed to get.
That's so strange. You know, they wanted to find somebody who looked like me, but they didn't write a part that had anything to do with me.
Now, why would they not take the time to really find out? You know,
I was too explosive.
I love your honesty, Alice.
Oh, thanks.
But you really did purchase a church, though, an old church.
Oh, yes.
That's
yes,
true.
We lived in it, yeah.
How long did you live there?
I don't remember how many years. I'm very bad at dates and how long things took, because as I grow older, I realize that certain things happened in a very short time span.
Mm-hmm.
When I thought it was a year, it was really only like 6 weeks. But, you know, that's your sense of time. When you're young, you have all the time in the world.
You think you do, right?
Yeah.
Did you like living there?
Well, yeah.
Did the community find it odd that you were living in a church?
We were not really welcomed into the community at all. First of all, because in the early 60s, we had, you know, the guys had long hair and beards, and we were a bunch of people who weren't related all living together, and we were a big threat.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as a matter of fact, in the Berkshires where I lived, I really got the feeling that they thought I had started this whole thing. They thought it was my fault that their son in some university in Michigan had quit school and hitchhiked out to California. And, of course, it was happening all over the country, and it had nothing to do with me.
Right.
I might encourage people to do that, because I always encourage people to do what they want. But, it was a...
Sure. You were a scapegoat, sort of.
Well, in a way, I don't know whether I was a scapegoat or a bellwether. Whether I was the leader or the victim.
Was that a joint decision with you and Ray to purchase that church, or did you...
It was a gift.
Oh,
it was a gift from my mother.
Oh, okay.
Because she wanted us to stay in the Berkshires. I wanted to go back to New York.
Mm-hmm.
So that was her way of keeping us there.
And so you did like it while you were there?
Yeah.
Did you really entertain there and have friends over, or was that...
Constantly.
It was kind of a crash pad then. That part is sort of true.
I hate the word crash pad because people slept on beds with clean sheets.
I know that's just an expression of the time,
But it's like when they say, "Oh yeah, that's the woman who had all the garbage in her house." Well, it wasn't garbage; it was building debris.
Mm-hmm,
so it all wasn't quite as disgusting as people might think.
No, I didn't think that myself.
But it was that time when it almost didn't matter whether you liked somebody or not. Everybody was welcome.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And as long as they, weren't hurting someone or stealing too much, it was, everybody went their own way.
Wow.
And I fed them all.
Yeah, that's the one thing that really intrigues me, too, is that you actually liked to do it. Did you really like to do it? They portrayed in the movie that you did, that you enjoyed.
I did like to cook. And actually, I still like to cook, but I don't cook for the world.
I hope not. That's pretty. It's a pretty tall feat. And where did you learn to cook from either of your parents
No.
You just...
Nobody taught me. I was a very difficult child. When I went into the kitchen, my mother left.
Oh no.
So I made it up.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very fortunate because my father, who was also a very charismatic man, when I was growing up, we were kind of middle class, and we went out to dinner a lot, and we went to different ethnic restaurants, which was not the thing that most people did in the 50s, late 40s and 50s.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to taste all kinds of food, and there was always talk about the food, what the taste was, and how it could be better, and a lot of stuff about food.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the time when, I ate my meals with my family, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I mean, it was certainly not like it is now at all.
Right, the micro family, sure.
And so it was a certain time where, you weren't fighting, even though you had knives and forks at your hand. People got together and they broke bread together.
Mm-hmm.
And I always liked that.
I love the quote that I love what you wrote in your Alice's Restaurant Cookbook, and I actually stole that from you. I put it in an article that appeared in the paper a few days ago. I just took it directly from your book. Of course, I gave you credit for it, but I'm trying to find the page exactly because I have the book right in front of me. But you say just because you have 6 chairs, 4 plates, and and it doesn't mean you can't invite 12 people to dinner. And I ended the article with that because I loved it, and I thought that's really, it says a lot. It sort of goes with what you were saying about you fed. They came, they showed up. If the people will come, I will feed them. And but is that part true too? Where you really did, if you didn't have enough plates, you improvised and
of course,
so
we never had enough plates.
You made sure everybody had enough and was happy.
And that was a very popular little piece in that cookbook because, NPR has this I Believe segment, which sounds really corny, but it isn't at all. And they have like a 5-minute or 3-minute thing, mostly from just regular run-of-the-mill people. who describe an experience or an example that of their philosophy of life or why they feel a certain way. And I was asked to write something, and I kept saying no because I hated that. This I believe. It sounded like something from the Reader's Digest. You know, it sounded a little sappy. But so this woman, who was also a friend of mine, or she used to work for me, and she was working for NPR, and she said, well, listen, we just have to do it, and if you won't do something, I'm going to take something out of your cookbook, and you'll just have to read it. And that's what she chose, and I improvised for the This I Believe. But it was very well received. It's in their latest This I Believe book, which is wonderful, just wonderful. All these different people and their experiences and what they got out of it. Just
that sounds
real stuff.
That sounds great. I'm going to definitely check that out.
Yeah.
Is there, Alice, a type of food or that you specifically like to cook, or is it just pretty much everything? Or greasy food? I
like to cook almost everything. And I have a lot of cookbooks, and I sometimes look up recipes, but I never follow them. I just get ideas. And I'm not much of a baker because baking, you know, you make all this stuff, and then you put it in the oven, and you have no idea how it's going to come out until it's done.
That's true. I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not really that great.
It's the wing and the prayer. Yeah.
I do make a good pie.
Are you cooking for Thanksgiving this year, or what will you be doing for the holiday?
Well, that's kind of private.
Oh, okay. No, then please don't. That's none of my.
But I will be eating turkey.
Okay, that's great. What are you? So you said that you were involved and interested in politics in the past. Are you involved in your community at all in any way, or are you still interested in politics? Or
well, I'm interested and so disappointed. But I'm not as active as I was. Certainly not as active. My breathing problems have something to do with it too. It's not easy to get around. And I guess I've decided that I'm just going to live the life and act as if. That's what I think I'm doing. I live in my own world, and I act in a way that I want people to act, whether they do or not. You know, so people say, oh, you're living in a dream world. Yeah, maybe I am, but certain things I just won't do, and I really don't care whether someone says, and I hear it all the time, Alice, everybody does that. Everybody does that. I say, I don't care what everybody does. I think it's wrong, and I won't do it.
I got that.
That hasn't gotten me anywhere. I mean, it certainly hasn't resulted in any great riches. But I don't care about that either.
Okay, one more question about the. Well, no, let's not even do that one. Forget it. I'm kind of like, the movie seems like such a
I don't
kind
care.
of a. Well, you know how. It's obvious how it affected your life because the movie itself it shows in how life kind of went for you. I mean, I could write a book about it. I'm so interested because you have this central theme of not central. I'm sorry, recurring theme. It seems that there's a lot of new starts or starting over or walking away.
Yeah.
And letting go, you know, for you. And, you know, did those changes that you made, those intentional changes, I guess I would say, of both scenery and or possibly careers, did those lead you where you thought you should be? In other words, was the path that you took, do you feel that you were on the path you were meant to be on and you're exactly where you're supposed to be? Or were there other things you maybe would have liked to have done that you didn't get the chance to do or something like that?
I would have liked to do everything. But I never had a plan like people sometimes have a plan, and then they have a 5-year plan, and they want to be in such and such a place by the time they're 25, and by the time they're 30, they want to be doing this. I just was kind of haphazard. And so what that meant was I would go along with almost anything that came up. I mean, all I ever wanted to do was draw pictures and live in Provincetown. I definitely always wanted to do that.
It's a beautiful place to be.
Oh, it is. And, so all my dreams have come true.
That's great. That's what I'm glad to hear. Yeah.
There certainly was no path that led directly to this in any way.
Right. Or just a lot of... So you knew long ago that you would like to end up where you are right now eventually.
Yeah, but I never did anything, to make that happen. Because I just pretty much reacted to whatever was in front of me. And I never wanted to have a restaurant.
No, you didn't? You
no.
never did?
I mean, I love to cook, but I never wanted to have a restaurant. And that just kind of happened. My mother was doing some real estate at the time, and she came across this little luncheonette that was for rent, and she really didn't approve of my lifestyle and feeding all these people. And so she said, if you're going to feed people, then why don't you have a restaurant? At least you get paid for it. So I said, yeah, okay, that sounds good.
That makes sense at the time, right? Yeah, certainly. Do you have any siblings, Alice?
I have a younger sister.
Oh, you do? Okay. And when you were growing up, are you alike? Was she somewhat...
We're not at all alike, and we're not at all close.
Oh, okay. I don't mean to...
No, that's all right.
Okay.
Sometimes the younger children are jealous of the older children. And I think that's what happened in my case.
Oh, okay.
And because I got a lot of attention. But it wasn't positive attention.
And you probably didn't want most of it anyway.
No, and the attention was because I was bad. But she thinks that I really stole the love from my parents, that she would have gotten. And that lasted, I think she still feels that way unconsciously. But anyway, we're not, actually, now that both my parents have passed on, we don't speak to each other at all. It happens.
It happens.
But I have a tremendous extended family.
That's wonderful.
All those people from the Berkshires from the 60s and 70s, we're all still friends.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And, a few times a year we all get together, and people come from Europe, and they come from California, and they come from Canada, and it was just like nothing ever changed. It's wonderful to see everybody, and now their children and their grandchildren.
Wow.
Quite a crowd.
And do you still keep in touch with Arlo also?
A little bit. We email once in a while. He's always on the road. He's really busy.
Yeah. Well, I can understand, yeah. And he just seems like I don't know, when you watch the movie, of course, he's so young, but he seems to have this innocence in his eyes still, and very, very this cuteness about him. Like he's actually seems like kind of a sweet person, I don't know if that's really true, but there's a lot of funny things in there where he gives little suggestions at who he might really be, but you don't know if that's also just part of the whole movie thing or if...
Well, actually, Arlo plays it pretty close to the chest, but he's got a fabulous sense of humor and a way of putting things together. Just his songs. Alice's Restaurant, that was something that he put together out of things that happened over a period of time. And he just found humor in stringing that all together.
Yeah, he's got a great smile too. I think. A very contagious smile. It just breaks across his face, and it's almost like that's where he looks innocent in a way. He's got that.
Well, in some ways he is innocent.
It must have been tough for him. I don't want to go into that. It's not about him at all really here, but it must have been, being the son of Woody, it's, that in itself must have been something for him to somewhat bear,
Oh, I'm sure it was, but,
and he lost his dad.
Woody died while they were shooting the movie.
Oh, yeah, that's tough.
That was hard.
That must have been. But
he had been sick for so long.
Right. I can understand that. Okay, let's move more toward the. Well, actually, one last question, then I want to come to the present. Have you ever gone back to that area at all to see the church again, or just for nostalgia?
Oh yeah,
you have. You do.
Oh yeah, I go there all the time.
Oh, you do. Okay.
Well, not all the time, but a few times a year.
Right.
I have a lot of my friends live there, and so I'm there a lot. I would be there for Thanksgiving this year, but it's just become difficult for me to travel.
Sure, I understand.
But I did go a few years ago. That was fabulous.
That's great. Do you miss anything about the old days at all, or just that time, the way that things were at that time in general?
Oh, sure, because we really were innocent.
Right.
And, I always say about the movie, well, I learned a lot of things I wish I had never known.
Mm-hmm.
Because we were innocent, and we were honest, and we were open, and we were happy and positive.
Mm-hmm.
And we weren't suspicious of people.
Mm-hmm.
And now you have to be.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my doors were open. Somebody came walking in and needed a place to stay. They could stay there. We didn't know anything about them.
Mm-hmm.
And, these days they would have been axe murderers or something.
Speaking of axe murderers, I read in that article about what a strange, and that's the last thing I was going to ask you too, is you've had some really strange, requests or contacts from people as a result of that whole thing, where I guess the man that was convicted of being, what was he, the Boston Strangler?
The Boston Strangler, that was so funny.
That's so bizarre.
It was.
He wanted you to sell his choker necklaces in your restaurant?
Isn't that bizarre?
That's absolutely, I read that. That is one of the most bizarre things I think I've ever heard. That's absurd.
We got a big kick out of that in the restaurant. I had a restaurant at the time, and that's where, the letter was addressed to me there, and I opened it there, and we all were just like flabbergasted. Do it, Alice, do it.
Do it.
I don't think I even want to get into the whole thing.
Any other things, strange things that came out of that you care to share, or that you recall, or?
Well, let's see. Maybe I can't
putting you
right
on,
off the bat.
Yeah, I know, I'm putting you on the spot. That's live radio for you, Alice.
That's all right. I don't mind being put on the spot, but you have to realize sometimes I won't deliver.
That's okay. That's your right also. Let's talk about your gallery and your artwork. I love what you have on and can I mention your website?
Please.
Sure, alicebrock.com, and please go and see. And Alice, I'm going to share this with the audience, listening audience. Alice does something, it sounds like something I would do too. That's why I love it. Random acts of kindness, where not even so much kindness, but you hand painted these rocks that you hand picked from the beach, and you see something in them or whatever, and you bring it back to your studio, I suppose, or maybe you paint it on the spot, I'm not sure, and you paint it and then you bring it back and randomly leave it on the beach for some passerby to pick up and say, wow, look at that. There's this treasure sitting here in the middle of the beach, and how did this get here? And it's almost like the letter in the bottle kind of thing,
Yes.
Maybe you should put alicebrock.com on the back of the rock.
I do put my initials on the back, but no, I don't want it,
No, but
now I
you
even sell them for years. I've been doing them for more than 40 years.
You have, and all only in P-Town you leave those, or do you spread the joy to
I am.
the other spread the joy? Well, if you're down this way, let me know. You could join the treasure boxes. That whole thing where in the woods where people leave the boxes, the letter boxing, and
oh really?
Yeah, letterboxing's become this new thing, this crazy thing where people go in the woods and they get clues to where these boxes are hidden, and then there's you find the box and there's a clue to where the next box is
like
hidden.
A treasure hunt.
It is. It's like a little scavenger hunt. I love things like that.
Yeah.
And I encourage everyone to go to alicebrock.com and check it out. And I know you illustrated Arlo's, what is it, the moose?
Mooses Come Walking?
Mooses. I love it. And someone did such a great thing on the internet where they actually animated it. Did you see that? So you can actually watch it as like a little video. Your drawings come to life. It's great.
Well, nobody told me.
Well, I'm telling you.
Well, how do you find that? Is it like on Arlo's website?
Go on YouTube. YouTube. It's on
Okay.
YouTube. And what a great little story. And I love the illustrations in there.
Oh, thank you. That was fun to do.
Yeah,
And I have another book that I had done before that I wrote and illustrated called How to Massage Your Cat.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and you're speaking to a cat lover, a fellow cat lover. But you also wrote another book. It came out in 1975. Is that correct, I think?
My Life as a Restaurant?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that was a really good book, but unfortunately, the way that came about was a friend of mine decided he wanted to go into the publishing business, and if I would write a book, that would really give him a leg up.
Mm-hmm.
So here I was running a restaurant, but somehow I wrote this book called My Life as a Restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
However, he didn't have much money, and so I had to pay the photographer, and I had to pay for the art, and I had to pay for the typing, and this and that, but, I felt that it would all even out. But it didn't. As the book came off the presses and was bound, they cut the end papers too short.
Oh, no.
So, and the end papers are the thing that they're glued to the cover, and then they're glued to the first page of the book. And if they're too short, when you open the book, it cracks, and the inside of the book falls out of the covers.
Oh, my God. And they never reprinted it?
No.
Oh, boy.
No, because, so there were maybe 1,000 or 2,000 copies printed, and most of them were returned by bookstores because, as soon as you opened it, the book fell out.
Oh, my goodness.
And so a lot of them got destroyed. But in the meantime, the so-called publisher had run off to California to become a massage therapist.
Wow.
So it kind of fell through the cracks.
Wow.
But I thought it was a really good book, and I've been trying to find copies, and someday I'll have a sale.
Well, you should. Yeah, you know what? I'm sure, Alice, it would be easy for you to get that reprinted and not have to pay for it, and you should. You deserve that. I think that would be a spectacular
Well, it could be, but
thing.
there's an old New England saying, I don't chew my cabbage twice.
Oh.
So it's like, it's already been done. I don't need to do it again. I move on.
But it's considered rare if you look it up. It is considered rare, and there are people who want it who can't get it, is what I'm saying. So I guess like you too. You're in the same boat. But I think it would be nice if maybe you could get it available on Kindle. I don't like them. I don't like reading a book on a computer screen.
No, I would never do that.
But Kindle is a wonderful thing for people who like the portability and not having to worry about it. Pages getting messed up and things like that. And it is becoming more popular.
I'm a bit of a dinosaur when it comes to some of those. I'm a Luddite.
I'm a classic girl myself. I understand.
I love books. I love to hold them.
Mm-hmm.
I love the looks of them, the feel of them, the smell of them. I go into the room where I have where I have a lot of my books. I have my books all over. And sometimes I just stand there and I look at the titles and I remember, what I was doing when I read it and how it struck me. And I read books more than once. And I make notes, which you can't do, I don't think, in Kindle. And
That's true. Yeah.
I just, I think books and the printed word, it's a wonderful thing.
I agree with you. I think we're too much alike. We're both, we have something in common. We're both fish.
Oh, really? Are you a Pisces?
Absolutely. Yes.
When's your birthday?
March 3rd.
Oh, mine is February 28th.
Oh, I was supposed to be born the 29th, and it was a leap year, and I was 3 days late, and I was born on my mom's birthday.
Oh, wow, that's great.
Same day.
Yeah, well, you're lucky you didn't get born on the 29th.
No, I know. I wouldn't.
A lot of people think I was, and they only send me a card every 4 years.
Oh, no. Well, it's always wonderful to meet a fellow Pisces, I tell you that.
You know, I don't meet too many, do you?
I tend to. And it's funny because, Arlo is also a water sign, and then they make a lot of references to astrology in the movie, which is interesting. When they bury Shelley, they have the symbol of Sagittarius on his coffin. And usually you tend to attract, I don't want to go off into the old astrology thing, but you tend to attract water brings water. So it's, if you don't know that many other Pisces, you might know other water signs,
Well, as a matter of fact, almost every man that I was ever involved with was a Sagittarian.
Oh, really?
Which astrologically is a big mistake.
That's true.
And actually, it pretty much was a big mistake.
Was Ray also a Sagittarius?
Oh, boy, was he.
Oh, okay, interesting. Yeah. And then, in the movie, Arlo says he's a Scorpio, but he's not. He's a Cancer, which I thought was funny, that he chose to say Scorpio. So it's interesting what they decided to do and those little details that come out, But yeah. So let's go back to your art, because I really am interested in it. Now, what type of art do you have in the gallery there? I will definitely come visit when I'm up there. But
oh, great. Well, I have a lot of the things that I have on the website, only I have more in my gallery than I have on the website. Paintings, big ones and small ones, and a lot of prints. So they're inexpensive, and for somewhere around $100, you can buy a limited edition, signed and numbered, beautiful G-clay print. That's a French word meaning I don't know what. But they're very fine prints. Framed, matted and framed. And you got a work of art.
I did notice that your prices, I think, are a little too reasonable. In fact, I think you give a little too much of yourself away.
I know. Everybody says that, and that is one of the problems I guess I have. But
I'm right there with you.
I want people to be able to afford it. I have never... making money is like the last thing that interests me.
I understand.
I remember someone saying... interviewing me about the restaurant business, and he said, well, I guess at the end of the night, when it's all over and you count the money, it's all worthwhile. And I looked at him and I said, you think at the end of the night I count the money?
Oh, no.
At the end of the night, I have a drink. I count the money in the morning, and believe me, I could care less as long as I have enough change for the cash register for that day. I don't really care about the rest of it.
That is no more clearly evident than in the article that was written about you in the Wall Street Journal, where you walked away from this resort that you had invested a lot into with just basically a pocket full of quarters from the vending machines, and it just says a lot about you, and you just moved on. And I love the fact that you bought a Mustang convertible, no doubt. And what did you whatever happened to that car? How long did you keep it? I'm just curious. Did you get a lot of mileage out of it?
I got quite a bit of mileage out of it.
That's
because
good.
I was going back and forth to New York, and I had some money, and but I had a horrible car accident, and it flipped over and was demolished.
God, I'm so sorry.
And I was fine.
Oh, boy.
I don't know why, but I lucked out.
Wow.
A few cuts and bruises, but
wow,
and then for quite a while I was a Cadillac convertible girl.
Oh, Cadillac! Wow.
Well, when I was growing up, a Cadillac was the top. That was the sign of great success. And also, all restaurant owners always had Cadillacs. And I realized why, because they're big. They have a big trunk. You can fit cases of cabbage and chickens in there. And I loved old Cadillac convertibles. So the last one I had, well, my favorite was a 62 Coupe de Ville. Was it 62? Yeah. was a Coupe de Ville, but most of them were Eldorados. And
Coupe de Ville's the 2-door, and the Sedan de Ville's the 4-door. Yeah. That's.
Oh, I just loved them, especially here. When I first moved to Provincetown, I had a great big, I think it was a 72 Eldorado. It was huge. And Provincetown, the main street, which is pretty much the only street.
Commercial street.
Yeah, is a one-way street, and there's only sidewalks on one side, and people are all in the street, and it's very tight. And
you were the queen of the road.
Yes, people would say, "How can you drive something like that in this town?" And I just would say, "Well, I guess I'm lucky."
But what did you do in the winter? They're terrible in the snow.
No.
Well, they're rear-wheel drive, aren't they? Yeah, they're boats.
No, I had
tires.
front-wheel drive on the.
Oh, you did?
Some of the Eldorados. Yeah.
I thought they were all rear-wheel drive.
I don't remember, but
you got around in the snow?
The only accident I ever had was in the snow in the Mustang.
Oh yeah. Oh boy.
So.
Wow.
They're such, they're great cars.
Oh, it's just a great ride.
They were just wonderful.
Oh, it's a great ride.
You feel like $1 million.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's so roomy.
Mm-hmm.
It's like sitting in your living room, and the faster you go, the more comfortable it is. Just kind of hunkers down and
that's true.
Takes off.
It's definitely a party on wheels. That's for sure.
Yeah.
You can bring a lot of people with you, and that's a nice ride, definitely.
Yeah. But unfortunately, the ones that I liked were made out of metal, and I parked my car right on the water.
Oh no, the sea salt, the sea air. Yeah.
So it just, oh God, rust is my big enemy here.
Oh boy, I can see that. Yeah, if you don't, it's like you don't go out and rinse it off every day or garage it. Yeah, you're pretty much doomed. Yeah.
Yeah.
You give it to the ocean.
Well, that's what happened.
Alice, when did you open the gallery in P-Town?
Let's see.
I know you don't like dates.
2010.
Yeah.
Well, it could be 10 years ago.
Oh, 10 years, wow.
It could be, yeah, something like that.
And are you right on Commercial Street, or?
Yes, but I'm down in what they call the West End.
Okay.
So I'm in a residential area.
So people should definitely, if you go up to P-Town, stop in, right?
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. And
I'm not in the middle of town, so I'm not where all the galleries and stores are.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a very walkable town. It's maybe 2.5, 3 miles from one end to the other.
That's right.
And it's flat.
Mm-hmm.
And it's beautiful.
It is.
And, yeah, I'm open. In fact, I should be open right now, but I'm not.
I'm keeping you from your business, am
That's all right. I put a sign on the door.
Closed for, okay. And what else was I going to... Oh, are you working on anything right now, art-wise?
Not at the moment. Well, I have a few things in the works, but I got kind of stuck.
Mm-hmm.
So, you have to take time off. And, of course, the stones, I do them all the time. I just love everything about drawing on those stones.
I just think that is so neat. What a great idea. And I just love it.
Oh, thank you.
I want to see them in person.
They're really good. I must say, every time I do a bunch of them, they're better than the ones before.
Mm-hmm.
And I have so much fun with them. And people really like them.
And your choice of colors is great, too. You're very colorful. I noticed that. And I don't know about you, but I find that people's choice of color says a lot about them,
Mm-hmm.
Very positive, it seems. A lot of bright oranges and yellows. I know you like purple. And
yeah.
So, definitely people should check that out. And
well, I think I'm a pretty positive person.
Yeah,
I really, for all the horribleness in this world, it's still a great life, and for however stupid and crazy people are, I really think people are fantastic. Just an endless source of amazement and humor for me.
Alice, I have an idea. It just sparked in my mind. I think we should do a scavenger hunt with one of your stones, and
I'd be glad to.
And we'll give a couple of clues, and people can try to.
So you think I should send you some stones to do that with?
Oh, you want me? I could do one here. I just meant up where you are. Also,
Oh, really?
we could have fun with it. Well, we stream live on the internet too, so we could do whatever you want. Maybe we could do them in a couple of different places. And
I'd be glad to do that.
I think that would be fun. That sounds like something that would definitely be fun, because I just love that you do that. I think it's great.
And they're all over the world.
Are they?
They are. I have a photograph of someone throwing one over the Great Wall of China.
Wow.
And a woman that I met who's one of those solo sailors out of Australia. She has a 36-foot boat. She sails it alone.
Wow.
All over. And she sent me a photograph of one of my rocks sitting on the beach of a tiny little uninhabited island somewhere off the coast of Australia, and which I just loved. And they're everywhere.
I think we should maybe even start a web page and track them and have everyone on there who has found one and where are they now, and like that whole I found once I received at a restaurant, as a matter of fact, I received a dollar bill as change, and it had something on trackyourbill.com.
Oh yeah.
Have you seen that? I said, wow, I found a track your bill. I was so excited, and I saw everywhere that bill had been.
Yeah.
And it had traveled everywhere.
Yeah.
It was amazing, and then it ended up in my hands, and I almost didn't want to give it up, but I thought, well, I'll keep it going.
Well, did you go to track this bill?
I did. I put it in that I had it, and but you're supposed to give it up and continue the tracking and put it back out into circulation. Of course, I didn't want to do that, but then I thought, I can't be selfish with this. This is a universal thing. So I put it back out there, and I often wondered where it is now.
Well, you'll probably get another one. I've gotten a few.
Have you?
Yeah.
But see, we could do that with the rocks too. That'd be great. It'd be like a little. We'll do that as a project if you like. I'll be happy to help you with that. That'd be fun. We could tie it into the radio show too and report on it every once in a while. I do music news of the 60s and 70s too.
Oh, really?
Where are you now? What's everyone doing? Kind of thing. And interesting stuff going on out there. Like Steven Tyler is now hosting, what is that, American Idol. And there's been all kinds of things said about it. It's that's what we're coming to. But, so many artists from the 60s and 70s, musicians and everything, are still out there. And I'm so happy.
Isn't it amazing?
They're the best, because
I'm really
they keep
looking
going.
forward to reading this Keith Richards autobiography.
Yes, I know that the fact that man is even still walking the earth
and you never, and this has happened to me too. People think that none of us have any brains. I have even friends who come to my house and they see all the books and they go, what are you doing with all these books? I said, well, I read them. Oh, come on, you don't read, do you?
Yeah, that's why I wanted to speak with you, candidly and talk to you about who you are, not just, and like I said, you're probably, I know you're very polite and say, talking about this movie over and over, and it's 41 years later, but
I think it's more than that.
But the fact that people are still interested in it is wonderful. So,
yes.
And that it is now a piece of pop culture history. And
well, the 60s, people are so nostalgic about it, and young people now are so jealous. They wish they had lived in the 60s. They're so interested in the 60s. And I tell them, hey, it's just like the 60s now, and you ought to get off your ass and do what I did. Get out there and change the world. But it was a very special time, and I feel like I was in the right place at the right time.
Well, that's important.
And I love that I get a lot of emails on my website from people who want to tell me about what they were doing in the 60s. It's great. I could make a book out of those. Just terrific letters.
And let's talk about what else you're interested in. Obviously, you do still, I'm just getting the feeling there is a lot to you. And beside the artwork and your perusing and reading and all of, that, what else do you enjoy or are you interested in gets your attention? What gets your attention?
Well, this is a terrible thing to say, but, I like to daydream.
Mm-hmm. Why is that terrible? That's not terrible. That's a Pisces thing, by the way, too.
Is it?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, I like to walk down the beach, and I just let my mind wander.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And,
well, we all should do that, Alice.
Yeah.
No, people don't take the time to do that anymore. Life has become too fast-paced.
It is much too fast.
People want instantaneous results or satisfaction, and people don't appreciate
and they don't even wait around to get it.
I'm
just amazed at this whole thing with the cell phone. Although, I keep thinking, oh, yeah, my parents used to say the same thing. They didn't like the music, they didn't like the clothes, they didn't like our hair, and now here I am saying the same thing.
Oh, no.
Well, when I was growing up, we didn't need all that crap. So, in some ways, we are old, stodgy folks.
Well,
but I think we grew up in a wonderful world.
It was a good time to be at the age that you were. I'm jealous. I'm a little younger than you. I wish my mother was at Woodstock, and I was left with the godmother and with my siblings. And I do a Woodstock show every summer. Right in the middle of August, and I've talked to people about that too who were there. I interviewed John Sebastian, and he was very candid too about that experience. And and that wasn't just an experience. I would have loved to have been there. And were you at Woodstock by any chance? No.
No, as a matter of fact, I was invited to go in a helicopter with a friend of mine who was a photographer. But I didn't go because I don't like
large crowds. Yeah, I can understand.
And but that certainly had, that was the world-shaking event.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very empowering.
And it was so close to the time that the movie came out.
Yeah.
Right around the same time. So I was 69 was quite a year indeed.
It sure was.
Speaking of that time, Alice, what musicians or groups do you like from the 60s and 70s? Because after we're finished with our interview, I'm going to play some of it. I always make all of my guests have to pick some music. So what do you like?
It's really hard for me because, as I say, for me, it's a long time ago. But I remember, of course, the Beatles and the Stones. And, we listened to a lot of Joan Baez and Sonny Terry and Brownie McGee and Mississippi John Hurt, Bob Dylan, Jesse Winchester, I just loved.
Okay, I'm writing all this down. I'm trying to write as fast as you're saying them. So you like blues also?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And, I listened to a lot of folk music. But I was a secret Motown lover because I loved to dance, and Motown was great to dance to.
Were you a closet disco queen?
I wouldn't say I was in the closet. No, I did a lot of dancing.
Disco, yeah?
Well, I didn't know. Disco was
70s.
But after my time, really.
Oh, was it? Oh, but
it was just dancing wherever you were. I used to have these great parties when I lived in this house on like 500 acres of land.
Oh.
And the house, it was just a little cottage in the middle of this huge field. And we had these great parties, and friends would come with their instruments, and there was tremendous dancing all over. It was pretty wild.
Well, it sounds like you have had thus far, a very, what I want to...
Rich.
Choose my word. Okay, that sounds good.
A rich life.
That's good. That's wonderful. Alice, I don't want to keep you too long, although I feel like I could talk with you all day, and I will stop in. I'll definitely be up there at some point in time soon, and
Great.
I'm looking forward to meeting with you, and I really, truly thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here and sharing this show with me. You've made it incredibly special, and I've been doing this show has been on the air 20 years this year. I don't get paid. I'm a volunteer. I've been doing this for 12 years myself.
Wow.
I took over the show. Speaking of, doing things for the experience and not for the money, but Yeah, so for the last, 12, this is my 12th Thanksgiving show. I do Alice's Restaurant, and I don't know, you didn't read the article that I wrote, but I came across your cookbook.
Well, maybe you can send it to me when you send me the tape.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, I just came across your cookbook, and I bought it, and I said, whatever happened to her? Like, where is she these days? And, I want to know, where you been? So it's been great.
I'm still out there.
You're still out there. So everyone, if you're in P-Town, you stop down. Do you want to give them the name of the gallery?
Well, it's called Alice Brock Studio.
There you go.
And alicebrock.com.
Can't get any easier than that.
Nope.
So stop on by and, check out the website. You can certainly pick up some of her artwork that way,
and
too.
You can get to meet me in the flesh.
There you go. In the flesh.
Yeah.
I love the picture of you on the back cover of the cookbook, by the way. It's great.
Oh, what? The back cover? I'm walking through my garden. My vegetable garden.
You're sitting beside lots of pots full of food that looks really good,
yeah.
with flowers in your hair, and on the front you're holding a bunch of
chickens.
Yes.
Raw chickens.
Interesting cover photo. What is that? What did you decide? Did you pick that? Did you?
I guess so.
Did you? That's definitely
it's strange. I have some paintings I did of nudes with raw chickens.
You like what?
That I haven't, shown to the public yet.
Okay. You're saving that for the...
They're not pornographic or anything. They're just...
No. Well,
you have to be there.
You have an interesting... Yeah, it's interesting.
Well, I've got to open my gallery, and you've got to play some music.
I do.
I really enjoyed talking to you.
Yeah, I did too, Alice. Thank you so much.
And I look forward to meeting you.
And be well and keep creating.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
Happy Thanksgiving to you and all your listeners.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well.
Thanks.
All right, take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. So there you have it. The real Alice Brock. Now you know who she is. And you know that the movie that you've hopefully seen, Alice's Restaurant, is not so clearly depicted as to who the real Alice is. And, of course, that's, like she said, what movies are all about. So wonderful. I'm going to finish playing the rest of Alice's Restaurant, the Arlo Guthrie album. And then we're going to play some of Alice's request music here. We'll do some Dylan and some Joan Baez and some Stones and whatever time we have left in the last hour. And keep your ears here because we're going to be picking that name for the winner of the ticket to see Arlo Guthrie tonight at the Ridgefield Playhouse. Show starts at 8, and you can bet your bottom dollar that he will definitely be performing Alice's Restaurant live for your listening and visual pleasure. So don't go anywhere. Stay right here, and we'll be back with you soon. This is Kendall, and you're listening to Third Stone from the Sun on WXCI, and this is the Gobble 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 Thanksgiving special.